Awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody is doing well today on this fine Wednesday. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab pen and paper, let's take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. All right. And as always, we want to make sure that we are taking massive action. And that action stands for accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome, setting yourself body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading, trust in your education, strategy, trade skills, and intuition. Imagine your trade successfully materializing, obeying your trading strategy, avoid decisions based on greed or fear, and never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. All right. So if everybody can hear me okay, drop me one in the chat and we will get things rocking. Awesome. Awesome. Appreciate it. So let's do this. Had some data come out yesterday. We'll start at the calendar first, and then we will go from there. All right. All right, cool. So last night, Reserve Bank of New Zealand, they kept the cash rate the same. I'm not sure. There we go. Yeah, we kept the cash rate the same. What was interesting about this conversation is they discussed rate increases. And per um, mm, 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 per during the press conference, um, it was stated that it was a very real possibility that they could increase interest rates. They one of the quotes was, "We have a very limited." Where did the quote go? Um, very limited tolerance for very limited tolerance for increasing inflation. So, but they're certain that they will get there, right? To getting there, meaning getting to that 2% inflation target. However, the rates are going to have to stay higher for longer. Now, if they continue to stay higher, or if inflation starts to tick up, which we're seeing in some areas, it's not off the table for the RBNZ to increase the rate, right? Um, it's a very real chance. It was a very real conversation. So what's being talked about is investors are saying one rate hike this year. One rate cut this year for Reserve Bank of New Zealand. However, a lot of your larger banks are looking at first quarter of 2025 for the first rate cut for Reserve Bank of New Zealand. Um, so yeah, yeah, so there things are getting sticky. Things are getting sticky. Um, so you saw New Zealand pairs gain, the New Zealand dollar gained some strength yesterday, really across the board because of that. In some areas, those gains were taken back. In some, it stayed up. So um, we'll continue to watch the inflation story and see if this is a trend around the globe. All right. Then this morning you had CPI data for Canada yesterday as well. That came in, the month over month number came in flat. The median CPI came in below expectation. Trim comment, the core CPI came in um, below the previous, right? And it was basically in line with the expectation. So in Canada, things are starting to slow down from an inflationary perspective, but in other areas of the world, it's not exactly the same story. Then, um, then this morning, you had CPI out of the UK above expectation. All right, above expectation, and your PPI came in also above expectation. So for Bank of England, that rate cut for June that's been talked about, they're paring back those bets. And the thought is that they may not cut rates in June as was expected. So that's the other side of the story. And they're looking at November now as the potential first rate cut for the UK. So we'll continue to watch that story as it evolves as well. We also have today monetary policy report hearing, so testimony from Governor Bailey. We'll see what he has to say there. Later on today, we also have FOMC meeting minutes, and looking forward to those to see what was talked about in the previous FOMC meeting, right? If we see words about rate increases and it being a real possibility, it definitely could see the dollar start to gain some strength. So we'll see what happens at 2 o'clock there. You also have Governor Orr speaking at 4:15, retail sales for the New Zealand dollar at 6:45, and then your flash PMI for Australia at 7. And then you have flash manufacturing PMI for Japan at 8:30. Um, Conversation and bets have picked up that the Bank of Japan could shift monetary policy sooner than October. It's kind of been talked about in the background, but as the yen continues to weaken, as the trade deficit continues to be impacted, Bank of Japan is looking closely at how inflation is impacting the economy. So that's something that is back on the table and is of concern. You had the go back here. I think those trading economics, right? The 10-year bond yield topped 1% on Wednesday for the first time since May 2013. Trader piled in bets that the Bank of Japan would tighten policy further this year. Last week, BOJ surprised with their first tailoring of their bond purchases. Spurred bets that quantitative tightening is in the future. The bank also under pressure to raise interest rates again amid sharp falls with the yen. Those developments came following the central bank's decision in March. We know that part. But we got an uptick in the bond yield, right? And investors are looking at the potential for the rate to potentially change before October. All right, so we'll continue to watch the story as it develops and see how things go in Japan. Then there's a story on the pound there. And then we have Brent crude decline. I mean, sorry, Brent crude futures fell to 82.50 a barrel on Wednesday, sliding further, waiting on information on the Federal Reserve interest rate conversation. In the meeting minutes, they also speakers have largely called for caution and more confidence that inflation will return to 2% before betting on rate cuts. So that's impacting the oil prices. All right. So that is it from a fundamental perspective. Any questions from the team? No? All right. Benny, good morning, bro.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. Ryan, how are you this morning?
I am doing well, my man. How are you?
Oh man, I'm doing great. Always glad to be here with the team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anything top of mind for you, man, from a fundamental perspective?
Uh, just that I don't think we're gonna get as many cuts across the board as the market might be thinking.
Man, no. I am in agreement there.
Yeah, that's about it from what I'm seeing. Everything in its totality. Globally, I just don't think we're gonna see as many cuts. I think I
Yeah.
think it's too fast to jump on that idea that there's going to be several rate cuts from these central banks in 2024, and I don't see it happening. So that's it really, especially with that UK number.
Yeah, it's interesting. And what's interesting also to add to that is Christine Lagarde said that the ECB is still set to cut their rate in June. And they're confident regarding inflation.
Yeah. So that may and then the yeah that one there it seems like more and more hey they're going to do it, but then I guess they're talking about look moving forward. It's kind of it's up in the air in regards to how many rate cuts they're going to have after the June cut.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see. I'm a bit surprised they're holding pretty steadfast on hey that cut is coming instead of saying we're going to remain data dependent. But you know, like I said, hey when they do it in June, I'll be ready to make a play. But we'll, I'm not going to do anything before it. Based on the idea that cut is coming. I need to see it happen. So
Yeah, man. No, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%, bro. Um,
yeah,
cool. Appreciate you, man.
yep.
All right. So, uh, well, I want to start out with team. If you guys have any charts you want me to take a look at, drop those into the chat. Um, I only had a couple to go back through, so I want to see if you guys have anything. Excuse me. And then we'll go from there. Or Benny, if you have any that are top of mind for you, take a look at those also. Things have been kind of slow motion outside of the New Zealand talk. NZD Swiss, yep, got you, Tyrone. Saw your chart in the community. Appreciate you for posting that. NZD Swissy. So let's walk back a bit and check things out. So daily time frame, and we've been watching this, right? We've been watching this move and talking about it for quite some time. And you see, boom, right? We're just shy now of that 382. It took a long time, tons of bouncing back and forth, but that daily 382 out of this 118, 127 zone has been achieved, right? So what's next? Okay, what's next? So that's on the daily. Come down to the 4. Look at this from a couple different perspectives, maybe. Um, Thought I had Fib running to the downside here. I don't know why this is loading so slow this morning. There we go. All right. So on the 4 hour, we also had this 80-20 scenario, right? And we haven't gotten to the 382 yet on the 4. So we got it on the daily, right? But we haven't gotten it on the 4. So price is pushing to the upside. So we'll pull that out and let's run a fib off this low here. Boom. Okay. So here we are on the 4. We got our shallow retracement. Is this what you have, Tyrone? You got a larger fib running here. Let's see. Might have a larger one. There you go. Boom. Right. So fib coming off the low. Price pushing to the 118, 127 zone. We broke this weekly level. We headed to a second weekly level, and we're stalling a bit. So let's watch and see here on the 4 where price goes. Right. If we stay below this 55,994 level, right, and we get that consolidation, see if we get a retracement before continuation. Now, keep in mind, right, the Swiss is still weak, right, and we just had a hawkish tone uh, from the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. So let's watch and see how the day progresses and wait for your additional confirmations on this, right? But we do have this 80-20 setup here on the 4-hour. Okay. So we'll watch and see if we get price to settle in and then get a trend line break or a cloud break, and then look for an entry back down to the downside. Okay.
Yeah, man. I was just gonna say also that in regards to your question, yeah, it's the same fib set out as well.
Yep. Yeah. I initially ran a smaller wave, so it was a little bit off. So this is the one that you have here, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Right. So there we are on the New Zealand Swissy. So we'll watch and see if we're able to get this action back down to the downside. Right. And it's a 4-hour chart. So give it some time to do its thing and develop and give you your additional confirmations on this, just because of the hawkish tone out of the Reserve Bank. Right. So we'll watch that and see. Okay. Great work, Tyrone. Appreciate you, man. Adjustment 7's in the chat for Tyrone on the chart markup. Beautiful. Any questions on the New Zealand Swissy? All right, cool deal. Give me 1 second, everybody. I'm gonna check one thing here. All right, so let's see. We had Euro.
Yep, you had the Euro dollar and gold.
EU gold and Euro Aussie. All right. Appreciate it. All right. Euro dollar. Well, let's walk back. Let's take a look at the dollar first, right? So we're seeing the slow push back to the upside off that daily support that it created here, right? We know we got meeting minutes coming in today. We'll see how those impact the market, but right now we're pushing back to the upside. So that means on the dollar crosses, you'll see price potentially moving to the downside slightly outside of the GU. So that's what we can expect to see there, right? And then we'll see what happens later on today. But we're retracing right now on the dollar index. So as we come back to the euro dollar, back to the euro dollar, boom, here we are, right? And price has been moving back to the upside. I had this level here. I'm looking for price to get back to the level. We'll look at it on the 4, but slight pullback here, just like we see on the dollar index, right? Channel on the daily time frame. Yep, Reese. Exactly, right? So we're pulling back here after some strong bullish action. We got stochastic in the sell zone. So let's see what happens and see if we get price to turn over here, right? Those meeting minutes are going to be important. Going to be very important to see what happens there. Okay. So as we come down to the 4, we are at a 618 retracement. Okay. 618 retracement. So gonna watch and see, right, if we get another push to the upside, or do we go ahead and start turning over to make our way back down to the downside? Going to be more dollar based in this scenario, just with the meeting minutes coming up. and trying to figure out what that inflation scenario looks like and what the tone of the FOMC is. All right. So got a deep retracement on the 4 hour, looking to see if that either continues or if we get another push to the upside before we turn over and come back down. Okay. So that's on the 4. That's where we sit. Okay. We come down to the 1. We zoom out. Right. And this red line is our D extension. We got a 50% retracement here, strong push up. We're pulling back now, right? We get one more push up to get to that 1 hour D extension, which puts us at that 786.86 range on the 4 hour. Okay. So that's what I'm looking at here. I'm waiting patiently on this. We did get a break of the cloud here. Which is interesting. So we'll watch and see what happens and see how deep this move to the downside goes. Okay. But we got to swing high on the daily to form. We're pressing to the downside. We broke the cloud. So this retracement could go at least through the morning, and then we'll see what happens this afternoon. Okay. But I'm not fully convinced just yet on price turning over. So we'll see what happens this afternoon. But that's where I'm sitting right now. And that's what I see on the euro dollar. Any questions about that? Because what I really like to see is that 1 hour D extension be achieved. And then the fundamentals to align for price to move to the downside here, right? So we could potentially get one more push down on the DXY is ultimately where my thought lies. No questions. All right, cool deal. Gold. Let's come back to the daily. Look at this. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Right. Gold is just running to the upside. We got a shallow retracement here. Didn't get to the 382. So let's continue to watch to see from a daily perspective. Right. Look, it's just been up. Right. Just been going up. So let's watch and see what happens here, right? Do we get another push to the upside to push into the 118, 127 zone? They give us our 80-20 scenario, right? And it's on a daily time frame, so could be a bit. But do we get action like that? So we'll have to be patient to wait and see what happens there. Come down to the 4. And just double checking here. Okay. Boom. 50% retracement, right? At some point, getting to 2,600 at some point. So on gold, looking for pullbacks and continuations. That's kind of what I see right now. So, and that's going to be kind of also led by the dollar. Well, yeah, kind of by the dollar as well. So we'll see how things continue to evolve. But gold has just been on a tear. Just been on a tear. So let's go down to the 1. See what we have here. That got taken out. That also got taken out. Boom. So that was an 80-20 to the downside. Come back. Whoops. Come here. And that's where we sit, right? So that pullback or retracement got us to a 50% double bottom scenario here. And now we're just pressing sideways. So we'll need a fundamental catalyst. We may get that this afternoon to push this in one direction or the other, right? But we got double bottom here, pushed up, and now we're pulling back. So we'll watch and see if we get price to turn over and push back to the upside and continue making that move higher. So kind of in between right now, back and forth, but in a retracement phase at this moment, looking to see if price settles in and makes a move back to the upside. So if you're trading this off the 1 hour, we got a 50% retracement. We'll see if you get a push down into that 618.786 range, retesting this previous resistance here. So, right, we'd love to see it push down into that zone there and give us an opportunity to make a play out of that 618 retracement level for the move long. So biases to the upside, we got stochastic pushing into the sell zone on the 1 hour. So that could lend to potentially another push down at some point before we head back to the upside. Thoughts on gold? Questions? Kiki, what are you seeing here?
I have the same thing. I'm just waiting for the retracement because gold was like building the stairs, past resistance. I see that like that pattern. So I was just waiting for gold to retest that level. And I have a zone there as well. So I'm just waiting.
All right, beautiful. Great work. Great work. All right. Cool deal. All right, so let's go take a look at this Euro Aussie. Still bouncing around. Boom. Right? Still sitting tight in the 618 retracement level on the daily time frame. Haven't been able to move. Whole month we've just been bouncing back and forth here. Right? So at some point we'll get a decision in one direction or the other, right? We got that support level here, 61,337. So we'll see if we're able to stay above that. We might, excuse me, at some point get a push down, give us a double bottom, right? And then see if we get that type of action there out of the zone. But just moving sideways right now. Just moving sideways. So you got the talk in the background on the ECB. We know commodity currencies have been kind of gaining some steam. We'll see if this inflation scenario continues to be conversation around the world, and we'll see what the ECB actually does. But right now, this one is literally just pressing sideways. There isn't much to gather from where we sit right now. You come down to the 1 and you see we're just pressing sideways through the cloud right now. Okay. So not much doing in my opinion. I got a sub fib running here just throughout the chaos. But it's just sideways. So this trend line would be adjusted like that. Boom. That one comes out. So that's where we're at from a trend line perspective. Okay. Overall, right, it's been down, but it's just super choppy right now. So continue to sit tight until we see something different. Until we see something different. There you go. So like I said, we could potentially push down to the 61,337 before we get a bounce to the upside. But we'll need a catalyst of some sort to give us that idea. But on a higher time frame is where I'm still sitting at 618 retracement level, and we haven't been able to move out of it. So not a ton there. Okay. Questions on the Euro Aussie?
Nope.
Cool deal. That Aussie New Zealand, right? We talked about it yesterday, and we talked about the potential for it to push deeper into the zone, right? And with that data, with the cash rate, that's kind of exactly what it did, right? It pushed deeper into the zone. So we got that trend line break initially, and then we pushed deeper. So that trend line is no longer valid. And this is where we sit. Okay. This is where we sit. So watching to see what price does here and if we can settle in and stay inside that AB boundary. Okay. If we stay inside that AB boundary, settle in, then we'll look for price to turn over. Right. But again, the value of placing the stop outside the A, right? Give price room to breathe, price room to do its thing. And then, right, we'll see that swing back to the upside. Okay. So we'll continue to watch this one develop and see how things go. Okay. On the one, see here, we just press back down to this back into the 618 retracement zone. We didn't quite get back to this low here, right? Just shy of it, but almost a double bottom there. And we'll see if we get that push to the upside. Okay. So on the one, we haven't gotten to a D extension yet. On the four, we're waiting for the swing. Okay. So we'll continue to watch and see how it develops. See how it develops. All right, so that's the Aussie New Zealand. That's actually daily support. So that works. Boom. Yeah, that's where we're on the Aussie New Zealand. So continue to wait and be patient there. Okay. Allow the trade, allow the market to do what it does, right? Yes, press down deeper. If you enter the trade in the zone, you're in drawdown a little bit. It's okay, right? That's why risk management is so important. Right? Calculating your risk, knowing what you have at risk before you enter the trade, and then just allowing price to do its thing. Move on to the next. Okay. Yep. Yep. Good job, Kay. Good job. Just sit and be patient, right? And we know what we're risking. So if we do take an L, we do take an L, and that's okay. That happens. So great work. Great work. Good job. Continue to be patient and continue to go through the process. All right. Continue to journal your thoughts and your feelings as well. So you understand them, understand where they're coming from. And if there's something that comes up where you want to take an action, close the trade, you got fear, whatever that is, journal those things, right? Understand those emotions, where they're coming from, what the root of them is. So as they continue to come up in different scenarios, right, we can address them and move through them, right? Instead of avoid them. So good job. Good job. All right. So that's the Aussie New Zealand. I want to take a look at this Euro NZD. Let's see. Daily, we're still sitting here. We got a 382 pressing back down. Level of daily support there. Boom. Stochastic is approaching the buy. I mean the buy zone again. Yeah, I got you, Joy. I got you. Yeah, absolutely, Michael. It's important, right? Journaling your emotions is extremely important. Because a lot of times what we do is we avoid the feelings instead of understanding them, right? And if you journal how they feel, and just ask yourself, where is it coming from, right? Where have I seen this or felt this before? You can start to dig deeper and find the root of that emotion and where you learned to feel that way. And that then allows you to identify, right? Is today's situation the same as that situation, right? And most times the answer is no, it's not the same. You're a completely different person. Most times that fear comes from childhood, adolescent experience with people that were also broken, right? They were also going through things on their side that didn't even have anything to do with you. And so you can start to detach your emotion from that previous experience, right? Not changing the experience, but changing the connection to the experience. And as you're able to do that, you understand it from a different perspective. Now, as you approach those same feelings, you can approach them with a different lens. And you can say, I know where this comes from. This situation is not that situation. So let me try to look at this differently to see what I can learn from this new situation to put me in a better scenario to move closer to the things that I desire. So it's not an easy process, but it's a beautiful process, right? Because it really allows us to start to learn ourselves better, but also to learn other people and engage in relationships differently. Understanding that we all have past traumas and past experiences that cause us to do different things. So it allows us to give others more grace as we also give ourselves grace. So, but press back down just above that support level, 176,223, right? And we'll see if we're able to hold that and turn back over on the 4, right? We're still range bound here, right? Top of the range, we're headed back down toward the bottom of the range. We got a 786 retracement here, right? We're still making higher lows. Okay. Still higher lows. So we're looking to see what happens here. So we'll see if we're able to hold that 176,223 and get a bounce to make another higher low and continue this trek to the upside. All right. So we'll watch that and see if we're able to get price to hold there. Okay. But looking for, right? Benny's been talking about this one for a while. At some point, looking for this to turn over and make its way topside to get us to that 1.86422. All right. So that's the Euro NZD. And then coming down to the 1, take that out. That's that daily support level there. On the 1, we got a 618 retracement and we turned over and pressed back down. It'll be interesting to see if we break this level. If we break this level and get to that D extension, we could be in for a longer term move to the downside, but we're going to need to see a lot to break that level, I think. So we could stall out here and turn back over and press deeper. So that's what I'm looking at on this Euro New Zealand and see what happens here. This one's been an interesting trek. I still have this crown pattern sitting on the weekly time frame to see if it plays out. We've got lower highs, but we haven't had a lower low yet. So we're trapped in this range from a long-term perspective. And you see the indecision here this week. So it'll be interesting to see where this one goes. Trade psychology goes way deeper than the charts. It's got me revisiting experiences. Yeah. We say it all the time, right? Learning this skill, it's not just about reading these candlesticks, right? But the better, Benny says all the time, the better you become as a person, the better trader you become, right? So it challenges you in tons of ways. Because it's most times it's just you in the chart, right? And so being able to work through those feelings and those emotions is powerful in controlling the thoughts that you attach to, right? The thoughts are going to come, but the ones that you attach to, and then the narrative that you create from those thoughts that you have, it gets deep, man. It gets deep. So that's why I enjoy Mindset Monday so much. Right. It gives us an opportunity to dig through all of these things and have these conversations at a deeper level and grow in so many different ways. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Cat Swiss pushing back to the upside. So we didn't get, all right, we're talking about getting a deeper retracement on this one potentially. right? And we didn't, right? We got shallow retracement. Now we're headed to this 118, 127 zone, 67, 198. So this one continues to track to the upside. So even with the softer Canadian data, right, we're still moving long. Still moving long. So this has been a beautiful, beautiful play to the upside. And this is what I was talking about with those Swiss pairs. So being careful with that NZD Swiss, looking for that additional confirmation. Just because that Swissy is still weak. So we have currency still running against it. But if you're still sitting in this one, kudos to you. It's been a fun ride, right? And we'll allow it to continue to run off until it gets to our matching extension levels. Coming back here to the 4. Right? Boom. And we're running, right? So we got that daily level 67, 198 to break through. But ultimately, goal is to get to 67, 370. Right? So we're watching that trek as it goes. All right. There we go. There's the fib on that one. It's a larger one, but it was an 80-20 off the 4-hour time frame as well. So we got the deep retracement on the that's on the sub fib on the 4. On the daily, right? We have price pushing to this 118, 127 zone and turn over. Okay. So we got sub fibs and capital fibs all running in alignment, right? So this started out as an 80-20 here on the 4. And it's been this long trek to the upside, similar to that NZD Swiss, right? Boom. Swiss franc against a commodity currency, running to the upside. All right. So that's where we are there. So we could potentially see an 80-20 here. We'll see how it develops, but don't be surprised if we don't get a retracement. Okay. Don't be surprised there. Questions on the CAD Swiss?
This is all fundamentals.
All fundamentals, man.
This is all fundamentals, right? So as you continue to evolve as a trader, as a swing trader, right, if that's what you want to do, you'll see that there are just a few moves in the market every year that'll make your year, right? They came out the gates first and cut rates, the SMB, right? They cut rates, and every pair has been long pretty much against the Swiss, right? Against the Swiss franc ever since.
Yep.
That's like stealing.
Yeah.
because you have an understanding of fundamentals. It's from a rate cut. Right? So when you go across the board, all your Swiss crosses, you pretty much see they're all doing the same thing. Right? And that's the power of what we do. Now it takes you a while to get there, right? As the years go by, it's like, man, like I'm really realizing, like, slow down to speed up. You don't need to be in and out of the market as much. Be patient. Wait on those major moves. Wait on those major moves in the market if you're swing trading. And that's why I believe in swing trading so much. Can we trade a whole bunch of different ways? We can. Right? But at the end of the day, this is the gold play and these Swiss crosses right now for the first half of the year. Right? And there's another one I'm forgetting about, but this has been your and the run against the yens.
Yep.
So just something to think about.
So, and this is another beautiful thing, right? So this area here, right? March 21st is when they cut their rates. When the Swiss National Bank cut their rates. 21st, right? Based on how we trade, right? Saw things happening fundamentally, things slowing down, the potential for rate cut to come in the future, right? But end of the year, beginning of the year, we had an 80-20 scenario develop here, right? And so this puts us right in alignment with that fundamental data as it sometimes before it comes out, and then it just accelerates that move. right? But look at it. Run it, right? It takes work, good people. It takes work to really understand all facets of this game. But if you desire to do so, you can. You can. 3 years ago, I did not know as much about the fundamental side of this game as I do now. Right? When I met Benny 5 years ago, I didn't know as much about the fundamental side of this game as I did 3 years ago. Right? And so now being able to have the conversations that I'm able to have, it all comes from the decision to put the time in to study it, right? And to be able to see the charts the way that I do and to be able to understand, like, I didn't study economics. I didn't study world economics. I didn't study any of this stuff in college, right? Um, but I'm able to have conversations at a completely different level now. Just about dedicating myself to the time and the deliberate practice and study, right? Asking questions and asking more questions and asking more questions. Like Benny and I will be on the phone for an hour, 2 hours at a time sometimes, because I'm asking all types of questions from a fundamental perspective and how things how things got to where they are, but how they also link together in different ways, right? So it's an amazing process to go through, right? It's an amazing process to go through. Yeah, Reese, the 80-20 came first, man. The methodology that we teach is absolutely beautiful once you take the time to really understand it, and it puts you in alignment with everything, with everything. Um, I sound like an A3, like a 300 level. I appreciate that, Michael. Um, it just comes from the deliberate practice and deliberate study, man. That's it. Like nothing replaces the work. It doesn't. Nothing replaces the work. Um, People will tell you shortcuts and do this and do that, but shortcuts are short-lived, right? It to really get this thing at a higher level for a long sustained period of time. It's that Chinese bamboo, right? You got to water that thing and water that thing and water that thing for 5 years without seeing anything. Then year six, thing grows 80 feet, and it's crazy. So it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story that we have the ability to create the narrative too. So yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So Euro Swiss, right? Similar story, right? And Jeremy can talk about his his experience with some of these pairs as well. In the accountability group, this was a couple months ago, I believe. Jeremy talked about his process and the his evolution on the fundamental side and how he's looking at those and just holding trades until the fundamentals change, right? But you see here, boom, that's April, 8-6 retracement, takeoff, right? They cut rates in March, right? March 21st. Where are we at? March 21st, somewhere in here, right? We got a takeoff, boom, continuation, right? But if we zoom back, you see price came to all-time lows before that, and the rise just accelerated. So we come down to the 4, and come all the way back. right? 80-20 there, push down, fresh AB boundary, take off, right? This ABCD wave, 80-20, 618 retracement, D extension. Where's my toolbar? Oops, no. A, B, C, D, swing low formed. Swing low formed. If you had your trend lines running to the downside, trend line break, pull back. 786 retracement. There's an entry opportunity. And you'd still be sitting in this thing to the upside. And you didn't have to close this trade. Right? Even on this pullback here, still didn't have to close the trade. Right? Profit. And then you come here, and then we got the reversal back to the upside again. All right. It's beautiful once you allow it to be. It's beautiful once you allow it to be. So here, current time. Benny talked about the cloud break back in April. Boom, pullback, 618 retracement, takeoff. So just off of the 618 retracement. It's 170 pips with more room to go. It's a beautiful story, man. So now here we are, fresh AB boundary, right? We didn't get the retracement here, right? Price just continued to accelerate. So now we'll see if we get a pullback and then a continuation. But we're long on the we're short against the Swissy. So if you're in this one off that 618 retracement on the 4, manage a trade, but let that thing ride until something changes. All right. Having a consistent process can yield you consistent results. But you got to have a consistent process. That goes back to creating that trading plan, right? We give you the foundation, right? We give you the sweet spots, but you add in what your additional entry criteria is, right? Trend line break, cloud break, or if price just moves into the zone, this is what I need to see to enter the trade. Do I see it? Yes or no? This is where I take profit. This is how I manage my trade. When price does this, I do this. If price does this, then I do this. Right? When the emotions come up, why do I feel this way? Come back to your yes or no questions. Did price do this? Yes or no? If the answer is no, leave it alone. If the answer is yes, all right, take the action that's required. When you boil it all down, it's simple. When you boil it all down, it's simple. We make it difficult with our emotions and our past traumas that we choose to hold on to because we don't give ourselves the permission to let those things go. Right? We give ourselves permission to hold on to them and we justify why we're holding on to them, but we don't give ourselves permission to let those things go so that we can evolve and grow into the person that we're supposed to become. This is the space to do it. Questions on the Euro Swiss? Sorry, went on a tangent. Let me check out this UJ for joy. Or forget about the trade. Take the entry and forget about the trade. Let it do its thing. And whenever you come back to it, whenever you come back to it, you see what it does. All right, UJ, and we'll wrap it up here. We're still sitting here, man. All right. On the daily, we're still sitting here. We got the 118, 127 zone. We pushed down, we pulled back. We're likely to push up a little bit higher, right? We'll see what happens at 2 o'clock, but could see this thing continue to trickle up. Right? Could see it continue to trickle up, but still sitting in this 118, 127 zone. Nothing has changed in Japan yet. Inflation is still going to be higher for longer in the US. Right? So going to continue to trickle up until we see something different. Right? But we're pressing back into some of these higher levels that concerns the Bank of Japan. So will they at some point pull the trigger? At some point they'll have to, but we don't know when that some point is. They do a really good job of taking their time and being very deliberate in their actions. So it's long right now. It's long right now. Right? We'll see what the meeting minutes say from the FOMC. See if that narrative changes any. But to be honest, not completely likely.
Okay, because I was making sure. Well, I closed out my position. I had two positions. One hit, stopping proper sell, and the other one just been dangling. And I went ahead and closed it because I knew FMOC was coming up. Now I got that same one, but I got caveats. I have a monthly zone between 160,202 and 151,937. Right. And so I got price in the middle with a sub fib that's like in the 80-20 zone. And then you got that fib right there, like price at headed towards the 618.
What was the low of that zone?
151,937.
Oh, okay. So the bottom here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And then you got a sub fib running to the upside.
Yep. You got more fibs than I did.
Off this low?
Yeah.
On the one? Or are you looking at on the
No,
four?
four. I'm sorry.
That's why. That's why.
Okay. I didn't
Yep,
see your time frame.
Yep, there we go. So that makes sense then. Boom. Makes sense. Yep. Yep. And so now, right, depending on what happens today, do we push into this 118, 127 zone, which will put us on this fib to the downside back in the 618 retracement level.
Okay, I feel more confident. I'm glad. I'm okay with closing my trade out then. I mean, I was a little bit high, but I mean, and it wasn't even on no fear tip. It was just because I didn't got in the habit of closing my US pairs during FMOC and being okay with my profit or loss.
Yep. Makes sense.
But then I didn't, but because of what's going on with the JPY, I don't know. Like a lot of times I ask Benny, why would you look at the one when the four look like the same and stuff like that? So just trying to still get a feel for that and see if this made sense.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
Yep. You're on it, right? And so those meeting minutes will be interesting to see, right? And then we'll go from there. So you're on it. You're on it. Yeah. So we'll see if we get this 80-20 on the sub fib to the upside, right? Puts us back in that 618 retracement level off the fib off the high, right? We know on the 4-hour and on the daily, we got an 80-20, but something fundamentally has to occur to push this in one direction or the other, right? So
Thank
we'll
you.
wait on it and see. You're welcome. Appreciate you bringing it up. When you say the rules out loud, it sounds like no, we all do. I was I was listening to this podcast yesterday, and the guy basically was talking about how our situations aren't the problem. The problem is how we irritate ourselves about the situation that we're facing. And he was like, he is random random extreme example, but he was like, think about hot temperatures, right? You're in a you're outside, the temperature is hot. But it's not that it's hot, it's that you continue to irritate yourself about it being hot. Oh, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. But if you think about it, right, and this is just, like I said, extreme example, but he was having a conversation with somebody, said, how far away from the sun, how far away from the earth is the sun, right? However many light years. All right. If there was a fire in Florida, would you feel it? No. Okay. Sun is so far away. Yes, it's large. It does all these things. But if you change the story that you're telling yourself about the situation, you can change how your body responds to the situation, ultimately what it was getting to, right? So the control of the narrative about our situations, because yes, we drive ourselves crazy about situations because we continue to reiterate the story that we created. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. We continue to remind ourselves of it. And we then continue to see things that then remind ourselves of what we just said that we didn't want, right? And so if we change that to say the things that we do desire, or just find a way to enjoy the moment, right? We can change the scenario, and we can change ultimately what we focus on and what we see to then be able to experience things differently. Right? The body and the mind are wild, dude. It's really wild once you dig into it, and put some of these things into practice. But we drive ourselves crazy about situations. We drive ourselves crazy about situations, right? And it is, at the end of the day, it's a conscious choice, right? We choose to do it, and we can choose not to. It's not easy, but we can. Just take some work. Just take some work. So I appreciate you guys coming to my TED Talk. Any questions about anything that we covered this morning? No. Benny, appreciate it. Benny, anything before we wrap it up, bro?
No, Ryan, great session, man. Great session as always. Great message this morning. I appreciate your TED Talk, man.
No doubt, dude. I appreciate you, man. Good people. Listen, be patient, be patient, be patient, be patient. Find your 1% today, whatever that is, right? Be it the lesson, the experience, meeting a new person, whatever that 1% is for you, seek it. Seek it and embrace it. All right. We'll be back at it tomorrow, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen, seeing how things played out throughout the day today and seeing what we have to take advantage of for tomorrow. Have a phenomenal Wednesday. Yes.
Can I just say something? I want to say
Absolutely.
thank you to David. He popped in yesterday, and I wanted to share with the group that the accountability group is so key to our success, because he's not able to, like, he loves being in the background, he says, but he goes back and he listened to all of our replays.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday he just popped in and let us know that that's what he's been doing. And now he'll start coming, because it literally drives him out of his comfort zone. So that was really, really so good for us to hear. And it was towards the tail end of our, we sit down and chit chat in that thing for hours.
Yeah.
But we actually, for those of you who want to go back and listen to yesterday's, we kind of decided Tyrone was like, what is it important for each of us making this money? And we each went around and talked about what it is that we need. Why is that important? What is financial independence? And then we actually came up, Jeremy mentioned a book, Zurich Axiom. So that's the book we're going to be reading as a group next month.
What is it called?
Zurich, like Switzerland,
Mhm.
Zurich Axiom. Jeremy on? Is Jeremy on?
Yes.
Jeremy, you want to pop in?
Yes, yeah, I'm on. Yeah, so
I am back.
it's basically about trading psychology and how to develop the habits and the mentality in order to become such profitable trader. Yeah, so that's just the basic synopsis of it.
Perfect. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Donette, we greatly appreciate you kicking off that accountability group. And we appreciate everybody that shows up. And those that haven't been able to show up yet, we appreciate you. When you're able to, tap into it. Phenomenal resource, right? This environment is created for this, to empower you guys to grow, develop, and evolve, right? And to create, right? So the accountability group is phenomenal. The conversations are great. The support is great. You can go in there, talk about some of the struggles that you have in somewhat of a smaller group right now, right? But we definitely want to grow that for all of the members to give you that additional resource so that you can tap into team members, build new relationships, right? Learn new things that from new and more people, right? Beautiful space, beautiful space. So
I think
definitely
that came
tap into it.
about, that came about because I mentioned having beneath Jeremy, Tyrone, and the other ladies, Kay, Michelle, myself,
JC.
the JC, the men bring such a grounding to us as women because the focus level for men is so strong than a woman's. And we were just talking about that, and that was how it evolved into Tyrone asking us, what is it that we really, really need and want out of, we have a date next year, May 15th, of where we're going to be 1 year from now. And that's how it evolved into the book and having, to grow our mindset, the psychology and things like that. But the guys they're so like succinct, and I don't have that. I know for myself. But I think that was a really added value that we bring as a community, So we thank them for that. So thank you guys. Mhm.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Appreciate you sharing on that. Appreciate the update. It's awesome. Miss Yacina, the accountability group meets 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. In the community, you click on the meetup tab. There's a live button at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click that button and you'll be in that group. All the details are in the community, tagged you in a couple posts. So you can check those out. But all that information is built into the community for you to access.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, good people. You guys have a phenomenal Wednesday. We'll see you in the morning. Peace.
Take care.